First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Alachua County leaders teamed up to tackle what they say is a gun violence crisis in the county. This is WUFT's First at 5. I'm Bailey Korinek.
And I'm Chris Will. In a joint meeting between Alachua County and Gainesville commissioners, the two groups discussed steps forward to combat gun violence. County leaders want to consider hiring gun violence intervention manager after 13 shootings took place in the first 2 weeks of this year.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes
The joint board
unanimously.
agreed to call upon community leaders to present solutions to combat gun violence. It comes almost a year after the city declared it a public health crisis. Gainesville Fire Chief Joseph Dixon says the goal is to take a look at initiatives and work collaboratively to develop a plan to prevent gun violence.
There are things happening, but what we want to do, some of the things are happening in silos. You know, let us support you, let us enhance what you're doing, and let's make sure that even if you don't want our help, because there may be times where that help, people say we're going to take this step, a leap of faith, that we make sure we still have an opportunity to document what they are doing.
Gainesville Mayor Harvey Ward expressed concerns over taking city leaders away from their daily duties without the ability to address widespread gun control laws. Ultimately, the two commissions passed the motion unanimously, directing staff to develop a plan for the consideration within the next 3 months.
2 women are behind bars for failing to report the sexual abuse of a child. Gainesville police arrested Kate Ann Murray and Elizabeth Godecki Monday. The police report says the victim told the woman she was being abused by her neighbors several months ago. Investigators say the 2 women continued to send the victim to the suspected abuser's house alone. The victim eventually told her doctors about the abuse she was facing, leading to the man's arrest.
Alachua County Animal Services may be getting a new home. WUFT's Kirsten Maselka is live at the Alachua County Commissioner's office and spoke with the Director of Animal Services about the new plans.
The shelter feels a new facility is necessary for a number of reasons, with space and the age of the building coming in as the 2 biggest factors. Especially coming off of the pandemic, the shelter is in need of an upgrade more than ever.
At Alachua County Animal Services, vulnerable pets await adoption. The Gainesville shelter has been at Northeast 53rd Avenue for over 35 years. But now, the shelter's director, Julie Johnson, is ready for a change.
Even though the shelter was built in a progressive manner, it really was a place for animals to never come out.
Tuesday, county commissioners requested the development of a larger animal shelter in a new location. The proposed changes come after years of overcrowding and intake management problems, kickstarted by the pandemic. Despite a 12% increase in adoption in the last year, Johnson says the risks of staying put are not worth taking. With only 105 dog kennels and 40 cat kennels, the shelter is too small to fit the community's needs.
By getting a new building, we are really hoping to embrace this community more, provide more community resources for people and pets.
As for the cost and location of the new building, Johnson says she hopes the commission has some answers. At the end of the day, her hope is that no animal is left without shelter.
I'm following the progress of the commission meeting and will keep you updated as things unfold. Live in Gainesville, Kirsten Maselka, WUFT News.
After some of the coldest temperatures of the month, we are starting to warm up.
WUFT's Julia Haley joins us now with our first look at the weather forecast.
From the coldest to the warmest temperatures of the month, this week has a little something for everyone. Those temperatures currently sitting in the 70s here in Gainesville, 73 Ocala and 73 for the Villages. A little above average for this time of year as we see an 8-degree increase in Gainesville and 9 degrees in Ocala for this evening. And outside of our studio, cloudy skies, starting to feel a little bit more humid outside as well. And take a look, just overcast. And this is what we're going to continue to see throughout this evening as those clouds are sitting over the southeast. Even a cold front is starting to move our way. I'll let you know when you can trade your jacket for a rain jacket coming right up.
The Florida Department of Education announced the state's high school graduation rate increased to 88%. This sets a new record in Florida. That's a 7% increase from last year and a 1% increase over the pre-pandemic graduation rate from 2018 to 2019. Graduation rates for student subgroups increased over the past 5 years, including a 4.9 percentage point increase for students with disabilities and a 0.9 percentage point increase for economically disadvantaged students. Taking a closer look to home, the graduation rate in Alachua County falls below Florida's record 88% at 85.8%. Alachua County's 18 high schools fall 2 points short of the Florida average. Hawthorne and Newberry currently lead those stats, graduating 100% and 98% of their students respectively.
Alachua County Sheriffs are opening a new precinct in Butler Plaza. The office is opening on Thursday with a ribbon-cutting ceremony at 3 p.m. ASO officials say they are excited to partner with Butler Plaza to strengthen their presence in the county.
Santa Fe College Northwest campus is on a boil water notice after a water main break. Officials say a pipe burst around 3 p.m. yesterday, forcing the college to close early. Crews were able to restore water pressure to the campus this morning, but say the boil notice may still be in place till Wednesday. College officials are providing free bottled water in the buildings and in the administration building.
In Marion County, new and expecting mothers are invited to attend the world's greatest baby shower this Friday. The free event is being held at the Kingdom Revival Church in Ocala. Information on breastfeeding, childbirth, parenting skills, and more will be provided. Families also have the chance to win prizes like cribs and strollers. The first session is from 2 to 4 p.m. and the second session is from 5 to 7. Voters are headed to the polls for the first time in the 2024 presidential election.
Primary elections are starting in New Hampshire, and one candidate is already taking an early lead. We'll tell you who's pulling ahead in the polls when First at 5 returns.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back. The 2024 presidential race is kicking off in New Hampshire, and polls are showing former President Donald Trump's lead is continuing to grow. Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley is the last Republican candidate challenging Trump, and results in New Hampshire could impact the future of her campaign. Despite this, Haley is insisting that she'll keep fighting with her campaign. President Biden is also looking ahead to the November election, talking about Republicans on abortion, an issue his campaign believes will help drive supporters to the polls. Most polling sites in New Hampshire will close at 7 p.m., but some will stay open till 8.
Temperatures plunged into an uncomfortable level for Floridians recently. Even now, local farmers continue to work to clean up after the hard freeze. WFT's Derrah joins us live from Field and Fork Farm, which has been affected by the cold. And Derrah, it had a ripple effect on the food pantry too.
Yeah, the weather has had a wider impact on crops. We're in an El Nino climate pattern right now, and that typically means colder than normal temperatures. But as we look ahead to temperatures in the 80s this week, local growers are still recoiling from the hard freeze. For farmers like Cody Galligan, making ends meet this winter has been difficult.
And this winter has been actually one of the coldest winters we've experienced here since we've been farming for 14 years in Gainesville.
The time it takes to prepare for a freeze event hurts Siembra Farm's production efforts.
You know, maybe we just lost like 10-15% of our crop, but the overall winter, there's just the overall effect of having an extra cold winter is more substantial, where we're actually kind of like 40% behind schedule with just our growth in general.
Cody sells his produce at local farmers markets. Lately, he hasn't had much to sell.
Instead of selling one head of lettuce for a price, we're having to combine 2 heads to get that same price.
Hard freeze events like this not only affect the farmer.
The value of our crop is cut in half.
But also the consumer.
It could get pretty fun to kind of finagle through all of the covered plants in order to actually get something that somebody wanted to buy.
Keaton Hannon says Garden Gate Nursery is fortunate enough to be able to bring plants inside or cover them with frost cloth.
Most of the revenue loss was likely due to the employees needed to do all of this.
The frost cloth only helps so much.
If we get an extreme cold, the frost cloth can only keep the plants, a few degrees warmer.
Keaton says the cleanup process is just as tedious as making preparations.
And picking those pieces, I'd probably say it was anywhere between 2 or 3 hours total for that first covering.
All they can do is adapt to the changing climate and remain hopeful. And Field and Fork farmer Noah Long tells me that between the lack of sunshine and the El Nino climate pattern, his supply to the Field and Fork food pantry on the UF's campus has been cut short. Reporting live in Gainesville, I'm Derrah Getter, WUFT News.
Thank you, Derrah. Over 200 youth activists are at the state capitol today to urge officials to take action on climate change. The activists are calling for a Green New Deal for UF. They want the university to transition to a more accountable zero-carbon economy. The coalition is made up of members of several student organizations, including the Sunrise Movement and Climate Action Gator. Organizers say this year's event is the largest gathering of youth climate activists in state history. Julia?
We're currently tracking a cold front as it sweeps throughout the southeast, bringing those showers for your Wednesday and even into your Thursday. We'll track those showers by the hour after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
We started off this week in the 20s and 30s, but we're making a steady rise into the 70s. 70 for Gainesville, even 73 Orlando, and 78 for Sarasota. So starting to feel a little bit more of that heat, almost like spring outside of our area. But we do have those clouds. If you take a look outside in your Century Tower, just overcast skies, and we're going to continue to see this throughout the evening. Those temperatures sitting in the 70s and 60s overall and staying that way throughout the evening. 7 degrees an increase for Gainesville, and even a 10-degree increase right now for Ocala. Definitely a warming trend. We're going to continue to see this. Tuesday evening, those clouds are going to stay, and it's going to stay pretty mild as those temperatures begin to drop into the low 50s and even the mid 50s. Look at that, or the 60s even. 62 for Gainesville, 63 or Ocala, but we do have that chance for some inland fog. This inland fog is going to stay, and make sure to turn on your low beams as well as this fog stays throughout our area. It definitely happens when that moisture sits over our area and the water vapor continues to condense throughout our area. So you can see those temperatures dropping. This is going to continue to stay, and we're going to bring on the heat for this week. If you take a look in the north, 30s. This is what we saw earlier this week for us, but on the flip side in the southeast, we're seeing the 70s, and this cold front is going to be bringing not only that moisture to our area, but even some warmer temperatures due to that humidity. 79 in Gainesville, 81 for Ocala for your Wednesday, and we do have a storm risk mostly sitting around the Panhandle, so look at that, mostly toward the west for your Wednesday, as those isolated strong to severe storms cannot be ruled out for your Wednesday as this cold front continues to make its way toward us, bringing those showers throughout the Panhandle into Thursday as well, but really just light for us here in Gainesville. And take a look at your 7-day outlook. We have those sunny skies turning into more clouds, temperatures rising into the 80s.
Coming up in sports, the Gators women's basketball team continues to struggle in conference play. Head coach Kelly Rae Finley spoke about the team's awareness of their fourth quarter struggles this season. We'll have more on what went wrong for the Gators last night after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Jack Meyer. The Florida Gators men's basketball team is gearing up for what should be a very physical matchup with the Mississippi State Bulldogs tomorrow evening. The Bulldogs are known for pounding away in the paint, something that this Gators team has taken into account as they prepare for this one. Center Micah Hanlogton spoke about how he plans to counter Mississippi State's bruising style of play.
I've watched a lot of film on it. A lot of times you either have players that jump off one foot trying to go into you or off two and trying to go around you. And so a lot of it's knowing your personnel and taking that and using it to your advantage.
Meanwhile, the Florida Gators women's basketball team fell to 1-4 in conference play last night, following an 89-77 defeat at the hands of the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Florida's Leilani Correa dropped a season-high 31 points, but it was not enough to power her squad to victory. The Gators remained within striking distance for the majority of the night, but they were subsequently outscored 28-18 in the fourth quarter. Following the loss, Florida head coach Kelly Rae Finley acknowledged the team's struggles in closing out games as of late.
Games this season, we really competed really hard for about 3.5 quarters. And we got to find a way to finish in that fourth quarter. It's been our challenge just about every single night.
The Gators will return to the hardwood on Thursday as they will hit the road to take on the Ole Miss Rebels. Turning to high school basketball, there's plenty of action unfolding all across the Gainesville area this evening. In boys basketball, the Oak Hall Eagles will play host to the Fort White Indians, while the Buchholz Bobcats will travel to Hawthorne High School to take on the Hornets. Both the Bobcats and the Hornets cracked the top 5 in Max Preps' latest Gainesville high school basketball rankings, while Oak Hall sits at number 7. Both games will tip off at 7:30 p.m. Flipping to the girls' side, Oak Hall will face off against the Trenton Tigers at 6 p.m. the Eagles throttled the Union County Fighting Tigers in a 43-9 blowout win in their last time out. Later in the evening, the PK Yonge Blue Wave will host the Ocala Vanguard Knights. The Blue Wave are fresh off of a 58-54 loss to the Forest Wildcats last night. Tip-off for that matchup is set for 7 p.m. Tonight, the Baseball Writers Association of America's Hall of Fame votes will be announced. Legendary third baseman Adrian Beltre is expected to officially become a first ballot Hall of Famer. In his 21-year career, Beltre was a 4-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger, and 5-time Gold Glove recipient. He finished his career with a .286 batting average and 477 home runs. Upon retiring in 2018, Beltre was only the third baseman in MLB history to record at least 3,000 hits and 400 home runs in his career. Other notable names who are waiting to see if they will make it into the Hall this year are former Minnesota Twins catcher Joe Mauer, former Colorado Rockies first baseman Todd Helton, relief pitcher Billy Wagner, and longtime veteran outfielder Gary Sheffield. One final note, the Tampa Bay Lightning are looking for their 6th win in their last 7 games as they take on the Philadelphia Flyers tonight at 7 p.m. Should be a good one. I mean, Tampa's looking pretty good.
Sorry, Jack, I know you're from South Florida, but I have to give a go Bulls from Gainesville here.
You know what, I'll just keep my Panthers pride to myself there, you know, just like I'll let you guys have this one.
We don't have any beef, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of us weren't as lucky to be able to be blessed with a team like that, but you know, that's how it goes.
So true.
How's the weather looking for the rest of the week?
Weather for your upcoming week, currently looking at those temperatures as they rise into the 80s. That's right, starting to feel a little bit more like spring for just a little bit longer. On Friday, a chance for some showers and then continuing to drop into the 70s and back into the 60s. But for now, seeing a chance for you to trade your sweater for some short sleeves throughout the week.
Very different vibes than we've had the last couple days. Well, thank you very much, Julia. BBC World News is up next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
But your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night.